I made the mistake of deleting my intro, so I'm just gonna redo it right here. So today's video is going to be about giving out advice. So I asked my followers on Instagram and people on Facebook to send me in some questions they would like advice on, so I hope you enjoyed this video. And the first question that I will answer is, do you have advice for students who are delayed in their graduation process, or for students who failed a subject? So my advice for students who are like delayed students, meaning those, who failed a subject and are kind of sad, angry, confused and stuff, I'm just gonna say everything's gonna be okay. I promise you that. I've been in your shoes, and of course, when I first failed a subject, I wasn't too happy about it, but I looked at it as a way that I wasn't ready to move on to the next subject that needed it as a prerequisite. It just means that I needed to take more time to practice the topics more so I can better understand it and everything. And retaking a class isn't exactly the worst thing in the world, because it actually gives you the opportunity to familiarize yourself with the topics under that subject, and you can use that to your advantage compared to those who barely just passed that subject and everything. And people go at their own pace, but that doesn't mean that your knowledge, your level of knowledge is any less than theirs. It's just that some people learn things differently than others. Some people learn things at a slower pace than others, like me. It takes time for me to learn about something. I have to really dig deep in it to connect some sort of understanding to it and such. And it's okay to feel that you're left behind, or that you're not going at the same pace as others, because this year I was actually supposed to graduate college along with my high school classmates and everything. Thinking about it sometimes makes me pretty sad. Like, I could have had a degree in behavioral neuroscience and everything if I had just stuck around and stuff, but some things happened along the way, and I've come to understand that not everything can go as planned, and all you have to do is just keep a positive mind. And if you're really passionate about this subject, then you really got to make everything count. You got to work for it. And people fail all the time, and that's how you learn. That's truly how you learn. Everyone has their own path towards success. So don't let any failure make you lose hope or have second thoughts about the course that you're currently in. If you feel deep down inside that this course isn't for you, then it's okay to shift. It's okay to transfer. My gosh, for me, I shift courses 3-4 times, because I literally could not make up my mind. I went from business administration to English literature, or was it secondary education, and to behavioral neuroscience, and then SLP. So everything will be fine. I promise you. I've been in your shoes, and believe me, it's a heck of a ride, but it will be worth it. I promise you. I seriously promise you. You just gotta prove to yourself that you can do it. Alright? Okay. How do I improve my self-esteem, or how can a person love himself or herself more? Okay. Now this is a question that many people seek the answers to, and only you can answer that for yourself. I mean, yeah, you can definitely have influence from social media platforms or from other people in your life or anything, but the real decision, the real answer, everything comes from you. To improve your self-esteem, it pretty much starts with believing in yourself, and as cheesy as that sounds, it's true. Whenever you think of something, or do something, or want to try to do something, You tell yourself, I believe I can do this. I believe I can do that. Instead of saying, I think I can, or I think it will work. Because if you say, I think, then obviously there's some sort of uncertainty that you're going through. And with that, it just makes you feel less confident. So start saying, I believe, and from then on, like, you will convince yourself that you're able to do whatever you want to do. And loving yourself it's a really slow process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it takes the right type of people in your life to give you the motivation, and the right type of environment to give you the right motivation as well. Growing up, I did not think of myself as pretty. I kept comparing myself to others, and whenever someone would compliment me, I would just say, oh no, it's just the makeup, or my hair just looked good that day, la da da da. It just brought my self-esteem down because I didn't want to accept other people's compliments, because I didn't want to appear as someone selfish or self-centered. But over the years, I met some great people, and they've really helped me become more self-confident. And whenever I look at myself in the mirror, I said, hey, my hair looks pretty nice today. Oh, my brows look pretty good. Oh, I have pretty eyes. If you compliment yourself more, then you're just getting closer and closer to loving yourself. And it's, like I said, it's all about believing yourself and respecting yourself. The biggest thing to improve your self-esteem is to believe in yourself. And from there, everything will play out smoothly. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to take a week. It takes time. It really, really takes time. Next question is, how can you confess to someone? Well, when I don't have much experience about this, but I do suggest that you confess to someone in person. It feels more traditional that way, although nowadays it's much easier to confess to someone over online, because it's more techie these days, and if that's easier for you, go ahead. Make sure that there are no hard feelings if they ever reject you. Be kind. When confessing to someone, you don't want to go too hard, especially if you know that person really well, and if they're like a simple person, you don't want to go above and beyond with this confession and everything. It can be simple and stuff. Just keep it subtle and keep it simple. Next question, how do you adjust to a new environment? First things first, you have to learn how to become open-minded. Every human can adapt to any environment as long as you set your mind to it. As long as you familiarize yourself with the environment and how people live there and how people do things there, then you can easily adjust to that. When it comes to living or moving to a different city for school, it can be really nerve-wracking not having your parents around, and your security is completely or almost gone. You just have to trust yourself to adapt to this environment, because you're going to be living here for a while, you're going to be studying here for a while, so you might as well know how things work. You might as well know how things run in that city that you live in order for you to go with the flow. How do you deal with being misperceived or misunderstood? How do you deal with being misperceived or misunderstood? Obviously for me, if I know that the message that I was trying to express didn't go the way that I wanted it to be, I would try to explain myself. But sometimes explaining yourself can be a little excessive and can make the situation worse and stuff like that. The first thing that humans would do is just try to clear their name, is trying to make a clear understanding of things so that other people don't get the wrong idea. But then there are other times when you've been misunderstood or misperceived, is to give that person the benefit of the doubt. For example, a person who's trying to share political issues with you, and they're taking your words and mixing it up and saying, oh, so you mean that, so you mean this, so you mean that. Sometimes it's just not worth the argument if they are not willing to understand where you're coming from and everything. You can do two things. One, you can give them the benefit of the doubt, or two, you can try to make them understand what you're actually saying in a simple and subtle manner, but also in a firm way in which they can truly understand where you're coming from. Next question. How do you convince your mom to get a pet cat? Okay, you're asking a person who's trying to convince her parents to get a corgi for what, about like 10 years already and everything? Yeah, I still haven't got my puppy yet, but you know. Anyway, you could give your mom facts about how helpful it is to have a pet in your home. Pets are known to be stress relievers, so if you're having a hard time in school or at work, it's always nice to come home and like hug them or pet them and everything. And also, they do like encourage exercise as well. I know with cats, it's kind of like not as active as a dog, it's because like normally people don't really walk their cats and stuff, but you can still find some sort of way to be active with the cat, like playing, you know, with them with a toy and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is that pets are nice to have around because they really do relieve your stress. They make you feel happier. They bring good company, so it wouldn't be too bad having a pet cat around, so yeah. How would you deal with an angry customer? This reminds me of my days when I used to work as a floral clerk and retail at Macy's. Well, for me, as much as I would want to yell at a customer back, I have to keep myself professional if I want to keep my job. So, from experience, I've always had a calm, collected manner, and the faster I work through their problem, the quicker they'll go away. So it's best to keep yourself professional no matter like how annoying they can be, no matter how pushy they can be. As long as you're able to solve their problem, whatever it may be, keep yourself in a calm and collected manner and they'll be gone. What would you do if your best friend let you down at an important time in your life? First, before I would want to confront them, I would try to come up with some sort of possible explanation as to why they were not there for me at a vital moment. For example, maybe they were held back at work, maybe they were in traffic, or maybe they really had a last minute emergency they had to attend to. I would try to situate the things first before talking to them, and if I wanted to confront them, I would do so in a calm manner, because shouting, yelling, swearing it's not gonna solve a problem. It's just basically fighting fire with fire. Talk to them in private. Just message them like, hey, can we meet up? I want to talk to you about something. And if they're willing to, then you go ahead and meet them. And if you ask them like, hey, so I kind of needed you the other day, may I ask what happened? And then if they're willing to give an explanation, you just listen to them and try to understand where they're coming from, instead of just lashing out and blaming them and saying that how come you weren't there for me? I've been there for you for like ever. I would be there for you in a heartbeat. But you have to understand, maybe they were going through something and they just couldn't be there. Because you just gotta understand where they're coming from first before you go out and confront them. Should I stay with the person who hurt us even though we love them too much? Should I give him or her up? This question was in Bisaya, but I had my friends translate it for me. If that person really loved you, they should never ever do anything or say anything that would cause a rift in your relationship. If they know they've hurt you mentally or physically, then they should know enough that they shouldn't do it. They should stop. It's not good. And if they keep doing this thing, if you see that there's a pattern, if they say to you, okay, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna stop, but they keep doing it, then I suggest that you drop them, you give them up, because they're not worth your time. If they keep giving you empty promises that they're gonna change, it's really, really not worth your time. You can definitely find someone way better than him or her. It's not just the happiness that you guys need to have in a relationship. It's about you too. It's about your happiness. It's about the respect that a person should give you and the respect that you should give to another person as well. But if they can't respect your time, if they can't respect your family, or just you as a whole, then there's no point in staying with someone who can't do anything. If you ever tried to sit down and talk to them about how you feel about what they do to you, and they disregard you by saying, oh, you're crazy, or like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, oh, but you did this to me, that is called gaslighting, and nobody likes to be in that situation and everything. They're trying to dodge your questions. They're trying to make you feel like you're the bad person and everything, and you don't want to be with a person who makes you feel that way. You want to be with someone who respects you, who is accountable for their own actions, who is responsible, who will be there for you through thick and thin, and also someone who does not give empty promises. You want someone who can support you, and in turn, you've got to support them as well. And if you have a child and they're not helping out or anything like that, then boom, there's no point in having them in your life, because imagine if this went on for 10 more years. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a living hell, and you don't want to live with someone who isn't able to give you a helping hand for another 10 years. You gotta think about your future. You gotta think about your child's future. You gotta think about your family's future. And if this person does not fit in it, you gotta kick them out. You gotta kick them out and don't look back. Last question: how to deal with failure, or how to deal with your plans not going the way that you thought. Okay, I've been in this boat numerous times. When it comes to failure, it doesn't mean defeat. That means it's another chance for you to try. And if things don't go your way, that means you have to adjust your plan. You got to make it more realistic and everything like that. For example, if you want to be a famous actress or something like that, or a nurse, if your plans of becoming a nurse or an actress completely fumbles, you got to make a new plan. You got to keep making a new plan until you have something that works. When it comes to failure, you've got to take it like a man or a woman. You got to accept it, and that doesn't mean you have to stop there. You can keep trying and trying and trying until you're able to achieve your goal, until you're able to reach your goal. You got to be practical. You have to be logical when making your decisions in order to reach your goal. And I'm not saying it's going to prevent any failures from happening, because we learn from our failures, we learn from our mistakes, and that's how we can better ourselves. And also, dealing with failure, there's many more opportunities to make up for what happened. Like the saying goes, when one door closes, another one opens. Okay everyone, so those were all the questions. Thank you all for sending those questions in for me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I will be making a video very soon, and I'll see you guys next time.